Okay, morning everyone. Um, how are you today? Do you still feel sleepy like me? You can raise your hand if you feel sleepy. Okay, and okay, so you guys are the front rows of the classroom, right? Let me introduce myself. Some of you may know me from the lab class already. I think like those who study on Tuesdays know me more or less. So my first name is Narumon. Okay, so this name you can search in the Microsoft Teams. If you have any questions, you can send me the message on the chat, and you can call me just Ajahn Ploy. Okay, and I will take care all of the lessons after midterm. So it means that you're gonna see me every week from now on until the final exam. Okay, and I kind of changed the meeting application from Microsoft Teams to Zoom meeting because we can use the annotation features that is not available in the Microsoft Teams. So I think it might be more useful in this case because let me show you this. All the materials will be in Colab, and I will provide the link to those lessons in like the Word file here. If I open it, okay. So after the midterm, there are gonna be these kind of lessons. The first lesson is about function, then list, tuple, and dictionary. Actually, list and string, right? These are all another like a group of data types in Python that we call collections, where you can store many variables in one variable, like many values in one variable. Then the last one is about the computer security and ethics. Actually, there is another lesson called applications. This you will learn about plotting, like graph, bar graph, scatter plot, something like that. But this not gonna be in the exam. But I think this will be useful for your career in the future, maybe, or at least for your studies in the later years. Okay, so that's why I changed to Zoom, because if I open the Colab, I cannot write. Okay. Okay, let's get started with the first lesson. So actually this week lesson gonna be all about functions. And if you have any question, you can just write or type in the Zoom chat, or actually you can turn on the microphone. We already know each other already, right? So turn on the microphone and then give me a shout. It might be easier. Okay. I know that you guys, some of you maybe feel like sleepy like me. So thank you very much that you guys join my class today. When I see the number of participants high enough, it kind of make my days already. I totally understand you guys because in my time, I kind of skip all the class, like for the whole year, for the whole first year.
Test.
Yes?
Oh,
Yes? Do you have any question, Nat?
oh no, I'm just test my mic.
All right, that's good. Okay, there is a student say they cannot access the link Google Drive. Is it about your internet connection? Can other students like try to access this link? Oh yeah, this is a good way as well. Because it is in Colab, so you cannot make your own note, right? One way to do it is to print this Colab. I think everyone knows already how to print it. So if you press File and then you press Print button, and then I put a white background here just for teaching. Then you can see all the contents going to be in the PDF file already. So you can just save as PDF and save it in your local computer. Or maybe next time I can add the PDF file in Microsoft Teams as well. But remember that if like some lines will be like too long than one page, it will be cut it, like it will cut off. So I cannot do anything much. If you want to see all the whole messages or all the whole content, please visit the Colab file. You don't need to open in Chrome. Actually, I open in Safari. But maybe let me try. So if I copy the link and then I enter it, it may be like something like this, right? And then you can just choose the option to open with Google Colab, and then you will be fine. And some Colab files will be large, so maybe you need to just be patient. Okay, then another useful tips is I believe that you have your own Google Drive, right? And because this is my file, you can just view only. If you want to write something or you want to do some experiment interactively on your own, you can just add to your own drive, which is this option, save a copy in Drive. No, actually not. Actually, don't do this. I think because this is mine already, I don't have the option saying that add to your drive. So you can just use the option add to your drive, and then it's gonna be in your drive. You can try it now. And then if it is add to your drive, I'm not sure if you can choose the location. I think you can. If you cannot do it, you can just send me the questions, okay? Okay, shall we start? Okay, it's all about functions. I think everyone already knows what function is already because we use it at the beginning of the class, like in the first hour, right? So what is the function, or what is it for? A function is defined as a group of statements, which means the statements mean like all the command, anything, right? And oops, my bad. And the aim of to have a function is to perform a specific task. Can you give me some examples of function? Anyone? The function that you know? Yeah, print. So what print does is just to show the message on screen. So it does only a specific task, right? And why it is useful? Because once it is defined, so print was already defined somewhere in the Python already. So you can call it anywhere in the program without rewriting those statements. So maybe print has the source code, like the source code of how to show a message on screen. Like they are pretty long, maybe in another language. Print if I remember correctly, it was implemented in C, I guess. Okay, so we don't need to rewrite those statements again if we want to show a message on screen. We can just call the function name, which is print, and then the program will execute the specific task for us. Okay, so this enable the reusability of those statements and make the entire program cleaner, more modularized. You know this word, right? Modularized. So it's gonna be like module. It's very easy to read and easy to understand, and more importantly, it is easier to be debugged. So yeah, so this is the advantages of the function. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the built-in functions first. So as some of you gave me an example of print function, the built-in functions are those functions that ready to use, we can just call it. Apart from print, can anyone give me more examples of this built-in functions? So you don't need to import any modules in Python or in Colab, you can just use it. Ran int, yeah, type, good. So type ran int. I'm not sure about ran int. Let us find out. Oh, okay. So I can just write down. Okay. Let's say type ran int. If continue break. Actually, the type ran int. Sleepy. Sleepy is not the built-in function yet, but you can write your own function. So today you're gonna learn how to write your own function, and then you can actually implement the sleepy function and then publish it in the internet and people can use. Okay, and I will give you more. So my examples are input. Remember this? And range. Okay, this is my examples. So which one is correct, which one is not correct? So we are talking about built-in functions. For sure, how do you know if it is a function? Oh yeah, float, string, parameter? Not exactly. How do you know if this is a function or not? Okay, I will give you more clue. This is not this is not a function. They are not functions. Yes, the parentheses. Okay, if you see a pair of parentheses after the function name, it is a function. If continue break, there is no parentheses. They are all, what can I say? Maybe statement, but incomplete. So this one is, these ones are statements, like complete statement. But if is incomplete statement. Why it is incomplete? Because it needs a conditional statement after, right? Okay, and it needs like a block of if. Okay, okay. And when you say, when you notice that there are parentheses after function names, they are considered functions, right? You can see that inside the parentheses, it can be some parameters. It can be just one parameter or multiple parameters. If there are multiple parameters, they are separated by a comma. But sometimes you can see no parameters at all. For example, type, you need one parameters, is the value or the variable that you want to know the data type. Input, you want a parameter. Actually, parameter, there is another name of parameter. What is, yeah, it is argument. Perfect. Okay, so input, right? Input, you need a string because this string gonna be shown on the screen for user so that user know what the program requires. Range, what parameters are required? So they require just one parameter, which is an integer, just to say when to stop numerate the numbers, right? But they can accept up to 3 parameters, that already all integers. Float and string, they accept one parameter, which is the value that you want to convert. Okay, so how do we know if these function, how do we know what parameters these functions gonna require or accept or want? There are some documentations online that you can search and learn along the way. Okay, so you know what functions are already, and some of them, I think most of them here are built-in functions, which means you can open Colab and then you can just type these functions. You can just call these functions instantly. Okay. I'm not sure about randint. Let me try here. Randint. What argument? I cannot remember. Actually, we need some memorization to do this. So maybe like 0 to 10, something like this, right? So it gonna randomly choose one number from here, and you can say that it's still black. So maybe it is not built-in functions. Is connecting to Google server. I think the other night Facebook server is down, right? Does anyone notice? Okay, so it says that randint is not defined. So in Python, without importing anything, the program doesn't know randint function, so you cannot call it, which means randint is not a built-in function, but it is another kind of function. Oh, maybe I can just leave it there. It is another kind of, it is another kind of function called ready-to-use functions. This is the name that I name it informally, which means these functions were written somewhere in the existing modules. So some people implemented it so that we can just call it. For example, if you want to use logarithm, it is already implemented in the math module. So you can, you need to import the module called math first, and then you can give the nickname as well, so that it's gonna be very short when you want to call the function in this module. Okay, you can see that import math as and this code line already. Okay, and then you can call the log function by using the module name. If you have the nickname, you need to use the nickname that you already defined, and then followed by a dot, and then the function name, and of course you have gonna write a pair of parentheses, and the logarithm requires one value inside, like one parameter. Then you can just run it, and then this is the result. Actually, you know already that we can just call function inside the function, right? So this is one function in math, and then it returns a value, so the result. And then we put the result as the input of the print function. Okay, so this works well. Okay, so I want to use the randint function. Do you know what module is it? Random. Okay. Okay, so this time I don't name the nickname. And when I want to call the randint, I need to say the module name dot randint. 0 and 10, right? Okay, and then they randomly choose 6. Cool. My question is m.pi. They will return a value. Is this a function? This is a function or not? Not a function because there is parenthesis. You can just notice like that. This is just a constant or a variable, the variable declared in the module math. Okay. Type of function. Okay. So we're gonna learn types of function. Type of function. How many types of functions are there? I think some of you may saw the results already. So I gotta say there are 2 types of functions. One is, so if we have print, we have input, have type, string, float, range. I wrote it in 2 columns. These are 2 types of function. Do you think how different are they? Yes, so this one return some values. It can return more than one values as well. Another function is split. But this need to be a string function, right? So we need to say string dot split. Okay, so for this side of the screen here, these are value returning function. For print, these are void functions. What are void functions? So this side returns some values. So for this side, they returns no values at all. No output value. Okay, cool. No output value. Let's see if this is true. So I gave an example of input. So input, this is the argument, which is the string that's gonna show on the screen, right? If I do something like, if I run it and then I type something, just enter it, I cannot see any returning value. Is it returning something or did it return something? Okay, just display stuff. I am displaying it already. How can I do? Actually, I said before that this function returns something, it still returns something already, but I just don't have any storage to receive that returning value, right? So it's in the air, in somewhere, and then it's kind of discarded in the program. What can I do is, this is my manual presentation. Okay, so what I can do is I have to set a storage, which is a variable in the program, right? To get or to catch the returning value from the input function. And then I print it. Then I say, you guys are cool. And then this is what this input function return. Okay. Then next, if I want to use print, right? Okay. So maybe XXX and then print something. Do you think that print returns this string? Yes or no? You can just type a short answer like Y or N. No, but we can see the returning value here. Of course, this function, like the print function, doesn't return anything. Okay, I'm gonna show you here. X is already defined. X is already set as the string returned by the input function here already. Okay, so if I print X, okay, so you can see the string here. Okay, so if I want to know if print returns any value, I need to write something like this. Okay, so like I set a variable Y to catch what returns from the function print here. And then print Y to see if Y has any value. What do you think? What do you think you're gonna see? What you're gonna see on the screen? Does anyone can guess? Or actually, if you can run along with me, you can see, you can just see the answer. X? No. When they want to print something, right? They're gonna show the value that X is storing. Yes. The print, what is it? None. They don't print you guys are cool because maybe you guys are not cool now. Just kidding. Okay, they print none. So what does it mean? Does it mean that they still return a value? None comprises 4 characters N, O, N, E. Is it a string? Anyone knows none? If you type none. Oh, so if you check what data type none is, it is called none type. So it is not a string. RPOP. I don't know what RPOP in English is. Maybe poor, just that. Okay, so none is a symbol of emptiness. Just kind of, it sounds like philosophy a bit. So when you want to represent emptiness in the programming world or in the computer science world, most of the time we say none. Okay, so remember that none is representing, like none is a symbol representing emptiness in Python. So represent like nothing in Python. So when print returns none, it means returns nothing. That's why we categorize the print function to be a void functions which return nothing or none. Okay, you got it right. Some some of you might have equations that print kind of returns a string. Yes, it returns a string, but to the screen, not in the program that you can use or you can catch those value, right? You cannot catch those value anymore. And do you know, can we think about why print doesn't return anything? Why those programmers who implemented the print function didn't return anything to us, to the program? Yes, they just wanted to print, which means to show on the screen. But actually, when a program wants to show something on the screen, it means that the something need to be already in the program already, right? The value of X is already known or stored in a program somewhere, some variables in the program. So you can just reuse it. You don't need to wait, wait those values to be returned from the print function. It is redundant. So this is a good idea, that the print function doesn't return anything. Okay, so far what we have done is just calling the already written functions. It is not the main focus of this week lesson. Okay, it took up like half an hour that we have talked so far. Now, in this chapter, we will focus on creating your own function. So we can just write a basic function. Here is the structure how to write a function by your own. So you can see that I comment kind of very long, and this is the border line of one page. And after this line, this text is going to be cut off if you print it into the PDF file. You can edit this file on your own before you print as well. You can just like enter it and then make another comment. Okay, but for me, I will leave it as is. Okay, so if you want to create your own function, you need to use a keyword called def. Does anyone know what is it short for? Oh, my voice. Yes, define. So actually it is quite intuitive, right? So Python, I usually say that Python is another language which is very close to English. So we can just say Python is kind of an English language. Okay, it is short for define. So if when we want to have a function, we need to define it first. So we define it in this way. We use def space and then followed by function name. When I write something like I don't know what is it called, bracket with the this symbol, it means that you can replace the text inside with your own text. Okay, so which means you can have your own function name. You can name any function, your functions with any name, but you need to follow the variable naming rules. For example, you cannot start the name function with numbers or with any special characters except an underscore, right? Or two underscores. You can have, you can define a function name with underscore. You can name a function with starting with underscore. Okay. Then a function needs to have a pair of parentheses. So you need to have a pair of parentheses here. And these are all the parameters, or you can see that they are all the inputs in the function. Think about function as a box, maybe, where there is no lid at the bottom and the top. So the flow of the program is like from the top to bottom here, right? Okay, so this is a block of function. What you want to put it in, you call parameters or arguments. These are the information or the data that you want to process it inside. And then you can return or not return any value or anything. Okay, so you can have no parameter at all, or you can have just one single parameter, or you can have multiple parameters. If you have multiple parameters, you need to separate them by a comma. Okay. This symbol, I don't know how to write. If you have like just want to say, you can have as many as parameters that you want, but you cannot write dot 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 like this because it's not gonna executable. Okay. So like other blocks of code in Python, because you can see that it is a block, right? You need to give the indentation after the def line, because just to let the Python interpreter know that these all the statements down here belong to this function. That's why you need to have also a colon as well. I think you are familiar with this kind of code. Okay, then, and dot 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 here means that you can have as many statements as you want. And return statement. If you want to return anything, you need to write a return value here after the return keyword. The returning value can be just one value, or it can be multiple like value. If they have multiple values, you need to separate it by a comma as well. And I wrote here that this line is optional for void functions, because void functions don't need to return anything. So you don't need to have the return statement. But it is required for returning value functions because you want to return anything. Okay, perhaps let's have a look into some examples, may give you more understanding. Okay, so I highlighted here that this is called a function block. Sometimes I call function box. It can be used interchangeably, but formally it is called function block. Okay, so there are other blocks in Python that you have learned before. For example, if block, while block, for block. What else? Just only this, right? Okay, and I wrote is all the detailed explanation for each line. Okay, so this is an example of the function name. What is it name? What is the name of this function? Greeting1. This is the name. And there are two parameters like class name and short. And actually, because Python, we don't declare the data types, so that sometimes we need to make a comment that, okay, class name, it can be any string, and then short is a boolean. This function wants a boolean value for short. Okay, so I just sometimes they make multiple lines of comments. They can use these triple single quotes or double quotes here just to write. Like just make a note so that people who want to use this function can understand without reading all your code. You say maybe arguments. And what is it? What does it return? They return nothing. You can just write nothing or none, right? Or actually, you don't need to write anything. Okay, so we're gonna see inside how it works. So we can say that this is a block, a function block, starting here and then end here. How do we know that it is end here? Because there is no lines anymore after this line. So this is the last line that is indented in this function. So this is the start, this is the end. Okay. When someone call this function, for example, if I call a function like greeting1, when I want to call, right? Greeting1, I want to send those two parameters inside the parentheses. So I send 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 7, 2, and then it needs a boolean. Maybe I want things short, so I send true. Okay. When someone call a function, how the programs work is they're gonna jump to this function in the program memory. Okay, they jump into this line, and then they execute all the codes that belongs to this function. So they're gonna skip all the comments here, right? They're gonna do line number 7, which is if chart. Okay, so we need to pass the parameter as well. When I say if I this function pass the parameters, pass means send. Okay, just like pass the ball. Okay, so it's gonna map all the parameters with the variable names here. So the first value that I pass is string of this, right? So the class name here gonna be like this, and then short gonna have the values true here. Okay, and then these values gonna be used inside the function. Okay, and then it says if short mean if true, right? If true, if it is short, right? If true, print, hey guys, welcome to class name, which is like this, right? And then dot here. But if short is false, it's gonna execute the else block, right? So it's gonna print 2 lines. That's it. And then once it reaches the end of the block, so in this case, it's gonna execute the 8th line, right? And then it's gonna skip all the else block because it is the if statement. So it will reach the end of the function already. It's gonna return back to where I called it, which means return to this line and then print something already, right? Okay, shall we do that? Okay, I call it greeting1. What is gonna happen? It says that name error, name greeting is not defined. How could this happen? What do you think? Because I haven't put the greeting1 that I define all the functions here in the program memory or in the interpreter of Python yet. So what I need to do first is to run this. So when I run this, the program doesn't execute anything. They just read all the code or all the statements that you defined into its memory, so that they already know what the function name greeting does. But it doesn't print anything yet. Okay, it's gonna be executed once it is called. Okay, so here I call it, and then you can see the result. Do you have any questions here? Okay, so this is a void function, right? Okay, let me write in another way. This is an explanation. Okay, so I want to write a function called greeting2 to do the same thing, but I write it in another way. As I said before, that if you want to implement a program, there are many ways to do it. Okay, so you can see that when you answer, when in the lab, you got the same answer, the same questions, but your answers and your friends' answers are different. Okay, for this way, if I want to let the Python program, the Python interpreter know the greeting2 function. So I run this, it's going to be read into its memory, and then I want to call greeting2. Then I pass the same values. You can see that it results the same thing because it does exactly the same. What happened in this? Okay. Okay. So when this program, like when I call greeting2, right? The program will execute this line first, and then say, oh, greeting2 is called. So they're gonna jump to somewhere in the program, wherever the function is. So it's just like above here, right? Okay, they're gonna jump to where it is. Once they found the greeting2 function, they're gonna execute all the statement inside. Okay. Oh, I need to pass the parameters first. So class name, I'm gonna note that it's gonna have value like this. Okay, in short, it's true here. Okay, and then it's gonna execute the next line, which is if short, yes, return true, right? So they're gonna do inside. Okay, so what is it inside? So they can print something. So they print, hey guys, welcome to lab 2301170 dot, and then there's one more statement inside, right? Which is return. What does it mean? Return. And then return followed by nothing. You can see here, we can write just only the return keyword without any values, which means return none, return emptiness, return nothing. So they're gonna jump back. Oops. Jump back to where it is called, which is this line. Like they're gonna finish it. It says that this, if you reach the return, no, actually this line first. If you reach the return statement, or if you reach the end of the function, you're gonna have to go back to where this function is called. Okay, you got it? So return statement can be anywhere in the function block. It doesn't need to be in the last line. Okay, I will give you one more example. If I call greeting1, and then I send I want to print 2 lines, like a long version. Okay, so if I run greeting 1, because it still works, right, without any errors, because I already defined the greeting 1 in the memory already. So just run it once, and then it will remember forever until you start the runtime. If you restart the runtime, it means that you clear all the memory. So you will lose all the function. You need to define it again, okay? Okay, so you defined already, you don't need to define again, but if you just accidentally press this button, it's gonna like just memorize again. It doesn't affect anything, so you can do that as well. Okay, so what it does is the interpreter run this line and then found that, oh, it calls greeting 1 function. So they're gonna find out where the greeting 1 function is. Then it is here. It is here. They're gonna jump, okay? So red dot gonna be here. And then what values that are passed to this function, if we remember, it's gonna be like this. I shouldn't pass this long numbers here. Okay, and then short, which is false, right? Okay, then they're gonna jump to, oops. Let me put this. Let's jump in here, and then this values are here, and then they're gonna do the line number 7, and then if short, actually short is false, so I mean if false is false, right? So they don't do anything on here, like they're gonna jump to else blocks, and then they're gonna do the line number 10, and then they print, hey guys, blah blah blah, and then number 11, the print is a new school year, and then what else? It's the end of the function block already. So it's gonna jump back a long way to here. To here. Okay, and then if you have another line of code, do something like print, and so they're gonna execute number 2, like the line number 2, after they finish executing all the code in function greeting 1. Okay. Let's say jump. Just simply end. Okay. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna you're gonna get the same output if we call greeting 2 using like and passing the same values here? Oh, okay. There's a student asking, like, got someone asking, could I explain the function of return again? Yes, I'm gonna do in this example then. Okay, so we're gonna have a look into this. So if I run this code block here, the program will execute this line, and then if function greeting 2 is called, where is the function greeting 2 is here, so it jumped to this block before executing the next line, right? They need to finish executing all the code in this function first. And this function requires like we pass 2 parameters, so the same as we did before. So we pass these 2 parameters, and then okay, so everything is set. I do the second line. So the second line says if short, okay, the short is false. What's gonna happen? It doesn't go inside the if block. So it's gonna jump to the, so it doesn't go inside, it's gonna jump to the next line, even though there is no else. If can be alone, right? If block can be alone without any else block, right? So they don't do this line, so they're gonna do the next line, which is print. How can I know that it's gonna do the next line? Because print, you can see that Python is kind of paragraph writing. So this is all the in this print and return are indented. So it means that these two statements belong to the if block, and then print statement in the line number 5 and line number 6 is just a line with the if. They are not inside. They are not inside, so they don't belong to the if block. Okay. Because short if false, they're gonna skip the if block and then execute the 5th line and the 6th line, and they print, hey guys, and it's a new school, and then it reaches the end of the function block already. What are they going to do next is jump back to where it is called, and then done, right? Because they printed already, and then they do the next line, which is print n. Okay, for this example, you got it, right? I will explain a bit more about the return statement that your friend was asking. Do you have any specific question, Gotchamon? For grading to short should be true, right? So that. Okay, so for this example, I pass false to short, so that short is gonna be false always because I pass it to false. But for this line, you can see that I pass true to short, so short gonna be true at this line, but not this line. So you can see that the results, I haven't run it yet. The results are different. Okay, and then I am back to Gotchamon. So Gotchamon asked, what do return do? Okay, so the returns, that's the thing, right? So the return is the return. How can I say? The returns means that just to tell the program to return to where it was. So for example, if I say like grading to, I run it again, right? So I run it again. So if I have an Apple as well, just to say after calling grading to, it will execute this line. So grading to, the program reaches here, and then it will find out where the grading tool is. They jump to the grading tool, and then there is the parameters here. They pass it into class name and short variable, and now short has the value of true, right? So they're gonna execute the second line, and then the second line say if short, which means if true. If true means true, they have true in this. The conditional statement is true, so they're gonna execute inside to the if block, which means print something. Print, hey guys. Okay, and then they also execute the 4th line because it is inside the if block, which is return. What does the return do is to return to where it is called. Return like to return to where this function is called. Can you tell me where it is? It is here, right here, right? So it returned to here. Okay, and then it's gonna execute the next line. Okay, good, Chamon, you got it? Okay, so Natagiat is asking, is it like break? It sounds like a break, but it's not exactly like break. Break means you need to break from the loop and then do the next line, right? But return, it is used with functions. Once it is out of function, they don't do the next line. They don't do the next line after break or after, like, there's no loop actually. So it is used in different situation, but it can be more or less similar, but not exactly the same. Okay, so for void function, there are two ways to return. So you don't need to have the return statement at all, or you can have the return statement as well somewhere when you want to return. Okay, just understand the flow of how it works in each case. Okay, next. Oh, not what? Maybe this is accidentally. Maybe I will say that. Return statement is not necessarily maybe I just want to emphasize that. Okay. Next is going to be in an example of a returning value function. Is here. Okay. Oh, good question. So let me go back here first. Okay, so Rutia asking that can I like write this? Do we need this? Actually, if you wrote this, it is working too. There's no error, but we can write this as well. So I make a comment here. It means the same thing, because short is already a Boolean already, right? How do you know that short will be Boolean? Yeah, we don't know, because I know it because I wrote this function. So this is an disadvantage of Python. We don't need to declare the data type of each variable, right? So this is all the variable. So when you write a function, these are the parameters that you write. They are all variables names. Okay, you cannot use the values here. So they think about that. This is kind of a box or the storage that gonna accept all the parameters that will be that gonna pass to this function. So just the variable names, we don't know anything about that, but we know our own intentions, what what kind of tasks that we're going to use these variables for. So in this case, I use variables for as a conditional statement. So that chart is going to be a Boolean. So if someone, this is a good question. So if I have another example, if someone sent or passed a wrong data type, like long, like not like long. I don't want short. I want long. What's gonna happen is an error. Oh, there is no error. Because maybe this version is better. If I create this, and I run this again just to update the greeting tool into the memory, that I change the statements inside the greeting tool. That's why I need to rerun this block again. So it means I need to redefine this function again. Okay, if I run this, it's still there's still no error because the string is not true, right? So okay, I'll change it to the same. So shall we have a look into like how it works? So when this line is called, they're gonna jump into this grading tools, and then this gonna pass to class name, and short gonna pass to short, and then maybe to be more sarcastic, I would give that short and run it again. Wait. Why this short? It shouldn't be short here. What? Oh, I know. Okay. If I wrote this, okay. See? I want short, but I passed the wrong data type, right? It still give you a long version printed out. What happens here is, okay, I pass it to class name, I pass the string of short to short, right? And then it's gonna jump to this line and then do next line. And then it asks if short equal to true or not. But short now is a string of short, right? So it is not true at all. So, or even I pass string true here. Run it again. So it is not true. It is not a Boolean true at all. So this statement is false. So they're gonna jump to print this line, and then jump back. Okay, so in this case, what you can do is just to tell, you can do this as well, just to tell the user with the comments. This is just the best way that you can do. Okay, so that's why we need a documentation. Okay, so if I, like, what happened with this statement? Like maybe I have rating 3 here. Then if I use this, and then okay, let me use this, and maybe if you at the end of this, okay, I can call the function within the same code block in Colab as well. I call it rating 3 here, and then yes, and then if I send maybe short here, maybe true here. Okay, what is this? So this is a function block. And this is the main program that we call is gonna execute. So if I run this, if I press the play button here, the program will read, the program will read these statements into the memory. And then this is just, wait a moment. Okay, so this is the program just read, okay? They don't execute anything. And then they're gonna first execute this line because it is in the main program. It is not a function. Okay. And then what it does is, okay, they say that because we call greeting free, so they're gonna jump to find out greeting free where it is. They can find in different blocks as well in collabs because this is the whole program. It's the same program. Okay, but in this case, it is in the same code block. It is okay as well. Okay, so run this and then run this. So if short, so it is, weirdly, it returned true. And this is an exception of Python. So if string, it returns true because it is none. Yeah. So this is what it is defined in Python syntax language. Okay, so just remember it that if string, because this is a string, there is something. Okay, so it returns true. That's why let's execute this line and then jump back. Okay. So for these statements, I want just to say that this line maybe there are just two ways to write the functions here. But if you write these statements in the main program, the behavior is not the same. Okay, you still need else block. Okay, but this is just a unique behavior that you can use in to define some functions, and then these two functions behave similarly because it is in function. Okay, so I am not going to confuse you more. Let's go to the next example of a returning value function. Okay, so define as usual, and then you name it. I name it as sum_2, and then I gonna accept one parameter. So I name just one single parameter here. So this should be a variable. It cannot be a value. Okay, so this is gonna be a storage. And then this function, what this function does, I always have the comment here so that you don't need to decode all the statements here. So this function gonna return a summation from 1 to n. So as it is says in the function name. So when you want to name a function or your own function, maybe it is a good practice to name it as it does, so to be easily understood that, yeah, so this is to let the users guess that what this function does. Okay, so give them some clue by meaningful names. Okay, so if you want to sum from 1 to 10, how can we code it? We can code like this. Okay, so this is a result, and that will be accumulative after we do the loop, right? So start from 0, and then this is the initial value of I, which is 1, and then 1 gonna be run into n, right? and then inside the loop it's gonna accumulate all the results, all the summations result, and then keep it in S. I think you guys are familiar with this code now, right? Then I will be incremented by 1, gonna be 2, right? And then we sum it up again. Okay, so these statements are a normal code or are normal statements that do this summation. And then for this function, you want to return the result. That's why after finishing, like after I got the result, I have a statement, return what? Return the result, which is stored in S, the variable name S. So I wrote return S. Okay. Okay, maybe I can call it here. Actually, I call all those functions here. This is all the detailed explanation that I have said, described before. Okay, it's quite a long way from function to the main program here. That's all right. The program will find out. First, we need to run this block just to let the program read this function and its codes to be in the memory. Okay, then when I press the run button here, I got the results. So let's have a look how it works. Okay, so the program will start running this line, and then we're gonna say before like we're gonna do the right hand side first, right? Okay. So here, a function named sum2 is called, and the parameters, the value that we're gonna pass is 10. What it's gonna do is it's gonna find out where the sum2 is. So sum2 is here. So the program jumped a long way to here. Then, oops. Okay. The program jumped a long way to here. Then remember, what happened? Oh, there's nothing showing the screen. Okay, but something show really on my iPad screen. Okay, just ignore it. Okay, so and remember that we passed the value of 10, right? So n has the value of 10 now here. Okay, and then they do the third line. So they set s equal to 0. So this is my memory note, my note. Okay, set s is set to 0, I is set to 1, and then they do the while loop. And then if I is less than or equal to n is 10, right? 1, so this statement is true. So they do inside, so they sum up the all the current result with I is equal to 1. So S is updated to 1 already, and then it's increment I to 2, and then because this is a while block, so after the program reaches the last line, it's gonna go back as a loop into the fifth line where it starts the loop. And then they check again. Now I has a value of 2, and then 2 is less than or equal to 10 is still true. The statement will like repeatedly does the block in size until this statement is false, right? So S will be like 55 already. So if I do like many times quickly here, at the end, S is 55, and then, for example, is here, S is 55 and I is 11 at the last iteration. Okay, then it will jump back again to the fifth line, and then so 11 is not less than or equal than 10. So this conditional statement is false. So it's gonna skip all the block Y to the eighth line. And what the line number 8 does is return S. So return means that to go out of this function with the value S. So they're gonna jump back where this function is called and keep the value along with them as well. So which is 55, okay? So they're gonna find out where it is. It is here. Actually, need to delete here. It is here, right? This is why it is called. So they jump back to here, and then they carrying the value of 55 as well. And then this is the returning value, and then they kind of set to the result variable here. So now the result variable has its own value, which is 55 already. Then they do the second line, which is print result, which is now 55 to the screen. Is this clear? I think it is. Okay. This is just another example that I already mentioned before, right? Just to say how it works, I want just to show they kind of jump forward and back, like jump to anywhere in the program to find out the function where the function is, and then jump back where it is called. That's it. Okay, so that because it works in this way, you can see the advantages why we need functions, right? Because it can be called anywhere in the program, right? You can just define just once. You can call it as many times as you want. Okay. Next, let me have some water first. Are you guys tired? You guys still with me, right? Okay, thanks God. Okay, so next we're gonna learn what is the local variables and global variables, because what happened is when we define a function here, you can see that we use variables here, right? So these variables are called local variables because they belong to just only this function. That's why they call local. And after, like when we call this function, right, like sum2 function, after the program return to where it is called, like after finishing executing all this code inside the functions, all these variables are discarded, like they're gonna not in the memory anymore. They are all discarded. Okay. So we're gonna have a close look into local and variables and what we should be aware of these two types of variables. Okay, so the variables created inside a function, normally called local variables, belonging to the function only. They cannot be accessed or used by any statement outside the function. And then we're gonna see if this is true or not. Or in other words, in the programming language, when we like in the programming world, when we call it like how far it is accessible, so we call it the scope of the variable. So the scope of these variables is within the function block. Okay, and okay, so in case of having the variable with the same name created outside the function, usually remember that they are two different variables. Let's see the examples here. Okay, so you know already that we can just define a function and write your main program here where the function where the program will start executing here, right? Okay, so if I run this, what's gonna happen is the program will read this statement just to memorize it. They don't execute or they don't show anything, they don't print anything, they don't like sum anything up, right? They just read this statement just to memorize where the sum to function is. And then they're gonna start executing the first line here, which means set the variable s to 5. So let's say main program s is 5, right? Okay, and then they're gonna do the next line, which is calling function sum2 and then pass value of 5 to the function. Okay, what it does is it gonna jump to 5, like jump to that function, and then it pass 5 to n. Okay, and then you know that this is all the statements that do the summation from 1 to n already, and then if n is 5, so it's gonna sum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the result? Ooh, what is the result? So 5, and this is 10, so it's like 15, right? Okay, so this is the function sum to scope. Okay, the sum to scope, they define or they created s, they created I, and they also have n as well. N is 5, and s initially has a value of 0, and then I will be 10. But after do some iterations, for the last iterations, I will change to 5. No, actually 6, right? The last iteration, I will change to 6, and then s will change to 15. N will be still has a value of 5, because in the program we don't change any value of n. We can change, but in this function we don't change. Then, okay, after finishing this line and then back to the loop, and then if I equals to 6, this statement in the fourth line will be false, and then you're gonna jump to the next line, which is the line number 7. Okay, what is it? So they say that it's gonna print the value of s, which is need to be inside the function, right? S mean if I refer if inside the function, because s is created here locally in this function. When this function, like inside this function, any lines refer to s, it's gonna be this s, this local variable s. Okay, that's why they printed out value of s inside the function is 15. You follow me? Okay. Next, what else? So now the program will be in this line, right? And then it already printed out the value of the local variable s here, which is 15 here. Okay, then do the next line. So the next line is to return s is 15. So the program gonna carry the value of 15 to where it is called. So to here. Line number 12 here. They carry 15 with them as well, but there's like nothing to store anymore in the main program because there is no assignment statement. There's no value to be, there is no variable to be assigned to. So the carrying value or the returning value is floating in the air. No one can catch it. So just discard it, right? Nothing to do anymore. So we need to do the next line, which is the line number 13. They print the value of s outside the function. Can I run it again? Okay, here. So this is the value of s outside the function, which is what? Because this is the main program, right? Once, before when maybe I can. Okay, once it returns to the line number 12, once it is finishing running all the code inside the function sum2, all these values are discarded. So they are all removed from the program memory. Nothing. And then they return. They will do the next line, right? Which is print value of s outside of the function. This is just the string, but I have a variable here named s. This s gonna be s here because it is in the main program. So s here call the variable in the main program. We call it global variable. Okay, when there is only s left when the program is executing this line of code. So it is easy to understand that it refers to this s, which has the value 5. So what this example gonna tell you? This example is trying to tell you that even though s is created twice, once is in the function, the other is in the main program, even though they have the same name, but they are different variables because s here is global variables and s here is local variable. So in the main program, we cannot access any local variable. Actually, and is also a local variable. Shall we try to access it? Okay, let me clear this. I want to access I, print I, and then print. So we can see that, or maybe I need to write in the same block, maybe. I mean, we can write in a different block as well, but just to show you in one go. I wrote it here, okay. So maybe different block might be better because maybe the same block might be better because you can see the result of this line, and then you can see the error here as well that name I is not defined because in the main program there's no I at all. So the program don't know I here in this line. Okay. Okay, how so Surataya is asking how it start with s equal to 5 in lines 11, isn't it? N equal to 5. Yes, but I mean okay, maybe I can have an example. This is called, maybe an example will be here. Okay. Okay, if I wrote this, what's gonna happen if I run this? You're gonna get the same results, but we're gonna see how it works. So the program will start executing here, right? So main program, like I wrote it here. Main program now is 5, right? And then they call sum2, so they will find out where sum2 is. It's not in the same page. Let me reset it up. Maybe just for explanation, I will do this first. Okay, I will do this just for easy explanation because it is in the same page. Okay, I will change it back later on so that you can, like, I copy it here. You can study on your own later. Okay, what it does is it's executing, it start executing line number 12, and then it's like main program, and then in the memory, this is all in the memory. In the memory, there is like sum2 function as well. Actually, in the memory, there is like greeting 1, greeting 2 already because we ran it already before, right? Okay. And in the greeting 1, in the greeting 2, and in sum2, there are no variables yet because nothing is called yet because we are now in this line. Okay, nothing is called yet. In this line, in the memory, main program is still in the memory as well. So like this is all in the memory. S is set to 5 here in the main program, right? Then the next line is sum2, and then they pass the value of x. Because we can pass the parameters with the variables, right? So what is it done is, because s is 5, it's gonna pass the value, just only the value, because s is a constant, so it is immutable. So when they pass it, they pass the value. So 5 is carried along the way to n. So now because they're gonna jump to find a function like sum2, right? Okay, so now n is created to 5, to have the value of 5 in the memory, and then in the scope of sum2 function. Okay, but s is still 5. If I have a line, for example, if I have a line n equal to n plus 1 here, so when they execute this line, it's going to be what? N will change to 6 here, but s is still 5 here. Okay, so if I change this function, maybe sum2 plus 1. Sum2 plus 1. Okay, and then sum2 plus 1. Okay, so that we can see that also the n here can be changed to 6 in the memory, in the locally within this function, but s that we pass the value still have the same value here, because what we pass is the value of s, not s. Okay, so shall we finish this code? So n is 6 already, right? I need to rerun it because I changed something in the function. So we can say that we can see that the summation of 1 to 6, so it's gonna like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 20 and then plus 6, so it's gonna be 21, right? Okay, so for the last iteration in the loop, before that, so do the line number 4 first. So s is created to 0, and I is also created with the line number 5 with 1. Then we can see that there's two variables, even though it's s, the same name, but it is different. One is the global variable, the other is the local variable that can be accessed within the sum2 function. Okay, so Rataya, you got it for about passing the variables here, right? Okay, let's finish it. For the last iteration, s gonna be changed to 21, and then I'm gonna change to 7, right? Okay, and then we're gonna like do something and then go back to the 6th line just to check this conditional statement, and then they found out that it is false. Then so they don't do the iterations anymore. They jump to the line number 9, and then they print it out. So they print the value of s inside the function. This is just a string, and then they print the value of s because this variable s is referred within the function. They're gonna refer to this s, so they print 21 out. Okay, and then they do line number 10, return s. What it does is it's gonna return back to where it is called. This is where it is called. This is a long line. Actually, it's called in this line, so the program need to execute this line first, and then it just jump to find out where the sum2 plus 1 is. Okay, so when it is returned here, right, it returned back to where it is called, which is here, this line, and then it carry along, then it return, right, it carry along the value of s, which is 21. They don't return the variable name s, they carrying the value of the variable, which is 21. Okay, and then because there is no assignment, again, this value is floating in the air, no one can catch it, so it is discarded. Then they print it out, and then this is in the main program, right? So before, actually, I always forget, before it is executing the 15 line, all these variable will be discarded. So in the memory, it's going to be like this. There's nothing in sum2, there's nothing in greeting2 or in other function because it is being called. So it is only memory in the main program. So the memory of the main program is always there from the starting of the program until the end of the program. So when it is executing the number line 15, this s is referred to the global variable. Okay, that's why it printed out 5. Yes, cool. You got it, right? Here, Okay. This is, maybe I change the name sum to A, maybe. Because I changed the statement inside. So now Takiat is asking, returning as S is not carried together. Yeah, so this means that what it returns is the value. Emphasize, underline, value, underline. I don't know how to underline it. The value of S, not the variable name S. Okay. So for all those like immutable data types, which is string, float, integer, boolean, when they pass or when they return, they pass and return with the value of it. But it is different. We're gonna learn the collection data types, right? Like list and string. Oh no, list and tuples and list and dictionary that are mutable. And then we're gonna mention about function again. But it is gonna be too complicated. It is out of scope of this class. But if anyone like want to know more, I will cover it like at the end of this class. Just please remind me. I have a short memory. Okay, so for this function, we have a new keyword called global. We can use it just to access the main program memory. So okay, so this is the same thing, right? So sum to n, and then I just move the print, like just print statement here, and then I just add a statement, a special statement. This is a new statement that we haven't known before, which is global, is the keyword, Python keyword, global S. This line is just to say that the variable S inside and outside the function are the same variable. That's it. Okay. Okay, so the program will start executing this line. Okay, this is the main program in the memory, and then this is the sum to a function. This is a new function, okay? It is in the memory already. I need to rerun it again. Oops. Okay. Okay. What happened is, okay, the main program is set to 5, and then it's executing sum to a, and then it sends like pass 5 to n, so just only the value is passed to n, and then it jump to this function, and then it's executing the line inside the next line inside the function. So this statement say that, oh, actually, S gonna refer to this function is the same as this function. The same as S in the main program outside the function. Okay, it's the same. Okay, which means anything that is modified value of s inside the function is going to modify, it's the same, so it's going to modify s in the main program. We will see. So print it out first. So it's going to print that inside this function before doing anything else is s has a value of 5, because s in the main program has a value of 5, and then it is the same s, right? Even though we haven't created or set anything to s, we can access s now here, like now here, right? If we don't have the main program, imagine that if we don't have the main program, sorry, I will not talk about that. Okay, let's continue doing it. Okay, so the next line is s equal to 0, but because s is the same as s in the main program, it will change the value of s in the main program to 0. Then it says I equal to 1, but I use it here is the local variable because there's no I, like there's no statement global I here, right? Okay, so I is a local variable, so I will write it in this side, but I will be is set to 1, and then I will do the loop, right? And the same. So for the last iteration, I will change to what? I will change to 7. No, I will change to 6, and then s will be updated repeatedly to 15, right? But it is the same as s in the main program, so s here is 15. Okay, so for the last line, for the last iteration, this will be false, and then it will return s. And what this function is return is the value of s, which is this s, which is the same as this s, right? This s, right? Which is 15. So return to where it is called here, 15, and carry the value, which is 15. Okay, so, and then because there is nothing to catch this value, so this value is just floating in the air. That's it. And then before going to execute the number line 14, all the variable here is discarded. Still, s is still there because it's in the main program. So when we print it out in this line, s is still referred to this variable, which has the value 15. It changed. You got it? Okay, so in this way, we can access. So this statement allows us to access the global variables defined outside the function, which is defined in the main program. Okay. Here, Samchi Beach. I changed the name so that when the program is reading this function, it's not gonna replace the previous function name, like with the same name. Okay, so why this is error? Like the errors occurs. Type error can only concatenate. Wait, is x defined somewhere? Let's do. Can I borrow your name? Not yet. Okay, thank you. I will borrow your name because I am sure that Natakiet, variable named Natakiet, is not defined anywhere in my program, for sure, 100%. Okay, so this is the error that I want to discuss. It is name error. So it says Natakiet is not defined. Okay, but it error at this line when it is reading the function when actually if I don't have any statement here, right? When I run it, there's no error because nothing is executed. Okay, when I call it, it is then we can see the error when we call it, right? Okay, and the error is this line, the line number 5 here, because this line is just to say we can access the like this global variable inside this function. That's it. We don't do anything yet. And then when it's like print here, right? They need to do sum2 and then pass 5 here. They jump to this function and then they execute this. They executing it with no error because they just tell the program that we're gonna access this global variable. Then this set to I is set to 1, and then they do the loop, and then they do the what inside the loop, which is try to do summation, right? But not yet, it's not defined yet. That's why the error happened. Okay, you got it, right? Read this. Sum2C. So, okay, so this one, because they do something similarly with sum2A, if I remember it correctly, but there is no return. There is no return statement. So even though S, okay, main program, this is sum2C, right? So executing this line first, right? S is set to 5, and then this line, we will do the function inside, like the inner function first, right? Yeah, your answer is correct, not yet. It will call sum2C, and then 5 is passed to n, so n is set to 5 now here, and then this one is said that okay, we have S here, but S is gonna be the same as here, and then S is set to 0, so S is set to 0 in the main program, like not in the main program, I mean the global variable S is set to 0, and then for this line, I is created in the is created locally here, and then for this line, so after do some iterations, the last I will be 6, right? Remember that S will be 15. Then jump back to this line, right? And then to get the conditional statement to be false. And then this is kind of the end of the statement, right? So they're gonna jump to like maybe the 8th line, the end of the statement already. So the program will jump back to where it is called. So back to here. Actually, back to my pen is run out of ink. Just wait a few seconds, and then we will finish this class now. Okay. Here. Oops. Okay, it's working. Okay, here, there is no return. Even though there is no return, but it is the end of the function block, it will return to where it is called here without carrying any value because there is no return statement. Okay, so it means there's nothing. It means it carries none. Okay, it carries none object. That's why when we say print, and then the returning value here, which is nothing, what is the symbol of nothing? None. That's why it prints none here. And then when I say print s here, because s is, so before I call print here, this will be discarded first. And then I printed none object, and then I execute the next line, which is s here. So s refers to s in the memory, which is in the main program, which has a value of 15. Okay, you got it, right? Do you have any questions? I think this is the end of the class, but the content is not finished. We're gonna have a few more examples here next time, and you can read in advance and then try to do some programming exercises here. Yes, I will upload the recording to actually my YouTube playlist, and then I will give you the link in Teams. So please do some like programming exercise, so that in the class I will ask you to send your code in the chat, and then I will copy it on the screen so that we can share with your friends. Okay, do we have class on Friday? Yes, we have a class on Friday at 8 to 9, right? It's quite an early class. Okay, so see you on Friday to finish up the function. Bye bye.